Get the latest local news, obituaries, police splatter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
From the Heart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning, and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Observant eyes may have recently noticed a new piece of equipment near the football field at Clinton High School. Spencer Thomas, general manager at Baum Chevy Buick, told the Heart Media Group that the idea was proposed by Maroons football assistant coach Darren Moser. He says what started as just an idea snowballed into a donation of a 16-foot equipment trailer.
Yes, Darren Moser actually reached out in January just with the spitball of an idea about a trailer, and if we ever had one that was available, even using a rental trailer for the purpose of the football team and other athletics. We kind of started kicking that around internally, and next thing you know, we've got a wrap trailer sitting on high school property. Yeah, so it's a 7x16 tandem axle Discovery trailer. It's the type of trailer that we have at our Farmer City store and we have in our rental fleet. The timing kind of worked out really good. We had a trailer coming out of our rental service, and we always look to do something with those. This one fit the bill for what the high school was looking for. So we decided that, we were going to go ahead and donate it. The idea of a wrap was thrown around. We went, whole hog on it and decided let's just wrap the whole thing and get it done.
Thomas explains that it was an easy decision to show their gratitude to the Clinton School District through this donation. Athletic Director Matt Keppel says that Baum has been a huge supporter of Maroons athletics for years in so many ways.
We really value the community. We've been here for a long time, since the 60s in Clinton. Yeah. It's something that we look forward to being a part of, sponsoring and a lot of different events, donations. And then, when an opportunity comes along to come alongside the school district and really provide a need for them that kind of fits us, we jumped all over it. It really just fit.
Like he said, this is not the first time that Baums has stepped up and been a real integral part about what we do. Whenever you come to a basketball game or a volleyball game, we needed to add on to our score table. I think it was last year, the year before, and we needed 2 extra 8-foot pieces. Well, Baum stepped up and was willing to donate and buy one of those for us. So their logo's on one of those, and then they're on our football scoreboard, all of our ball fields. I mean, Baum's just been a great partner for the school district for, I'm assuming, way before I got here, but at least in the 8 years I've been here, it's been a great relationship.
The trailer will primarily be used to haul equipment when it comes to away football games, but Keppel points out that it will see use for programs like marching band and even track at times. The trailer was unveiled last week and is prominently parked in the Clinton High School parking lot next to the football field. Check out highlights of the interview by finding WHOW on your preferred social media platforms. Get news anytime from your computer or your mobile device, all free, all the time at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Hey, it's Shane from Highway 51 Exchange, your mower and equipment service pros just south of Clinton. Click our banner ad on DeWittDailyNews.com or give us a call to schedule your free pickup and delivery today. Highway 51 Exchange.
Spring brings brighter days and more time to enjoy them. Your home should too. At Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth, enjoy one-story living and walking paths right outside your door. Spend less time on upkeep and more time enjoying spring. To learn more, click our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Noah Atkinson here. As owner of Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs in Lincoln, I know small business is important to our communities. That's why I'm pleased to be the exclusive sponsor of the WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month.
The Vault Community Center on Mr. Lincoln Square in Clinton is a nonprofit teen community center offering an environment for social, academic, and spiritual growth through opportunities and services. They'll receive a $200 gift certificate, good at Lincoln printers and sign designs, for being our WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month. Nominate a business you'd like featured by emailing us at WHOW@randyradio.com.
Congratulations to this local business for all they do for the community. And don't forget, for envelopes, wedding invitations, signs, banner wraps, and more, go to LincolnPrintersInc.com.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. In a game heard on WHOW and all its digital platforms, Hadley Humble hit a two-run homer in the fourth that helped the Clinton Maroons defeat the Shelbyville Rams by a final score of 9-7 in Central Illinois Conference high school softball action on Monday afternoon in Clinton. Trailing 3-0 in the bottom of the fourth, Hadley Humble launched a two-run homer that also scored Riley Fentress and sparked a game-winning rally for the Maroons. Kinsey Sickles and Laney Nichols singled, and Chloe Riddle was hit by a pitch to load the bases with one out on the board. A disputed infield fly ruling involving nine-hitter Olivia Haynes eliminated a potential inning-ending double play for Shelbyville. Still trailing 3-1 with the bases loaded and one out, a flurry of singles and a double by Avery Smith made the score 6-3 and set up a 2 RBI triple for Riley Fentress that made it 8-3. Shelbyville got on the board first with a solo homer from Alex Yokish in the top of the first inning. They got 3 runs back in the top of the fifth with singles from Kenzie Jones, Addison Musser, an RBI double from Claire Canada, and an RBI single from Taylon Hancock to cut the Maroons' lead to 8-6. In the home half of the fifth, Haynes scored Nichols with a sac fly to add an insurance run and make it 9-6, although Shelbyville got one back with a second solo homer in the top of the sixth from Yokish. Fentress led the Maroons offensively, going 3 for 4 with 2 runs and 2 RBIs. Humble was also 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 1 run scored. Sickles, Nichols, Thompson, and Riddle all added hits in the outing. Haynes went the distance in circle, allowing 7 runs on 12 hits, struck out 8, and committed 7 errors. Yokish was 3 for 4 on the day for the Rams with 2 RBIs and 3 runs scored, including 2 solo homers. Ayla Logan, Canada, and Hancock all posted 2 for 4 days, while Jones and Musser each added singles. Carly Bohm pitched 6 innings, allowing 9 runs on 10 hits, striking out 4 and walking 1. With the win, Clinton improves to 8-17 and 3-5 in Central Illinois Conference play. Shelbyville falls to 6-12 and 2-6 in the CIC. The two teams will face off once again on Wednesday in Shelbyville. Ryan Pine went deep and Josh Bass drove in 5 runs as Clinton scored 17 runs in the 7th inning to blow by Central A&M 22-1 in Central Illinois Conference play from Moweaqua on Monday. Pine drove in a game-best 6 runs to finish 4 for 4, a triple shy of the cycle. Bass was 2 for 4 with a double and 5 RBIs. Stone Stith had a double and drove in 2. Jack Manning tripled and drove in 2 runs as well. Mitchell Cornwell and Xavier Reynolds had 2 RBIs for the Maroons. Pine struck out 4 in 3 innings of shutout ball. Cornwell struck out 6 in 3 scoreless innings. Clinton is 16-11 overall. They will visit Monticello on Wednesday. Hear the action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. In a game heard on WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com, Olympia's Gabby Fry outdueled Monticello's Cassidy Stoffel in a 1-0 win in non-conference high school softball action on Monday in Monticello. Stoffel and Fry went toe-to-toe, each going the distance in circle. Fry struck out the final two batters she faced to finish with 11 strikeouts while permitting only 4 hits. Stoffel struck out 10, walked 1, but worked out consistent trouble through the game. Her only blemish was a Finley Hoffman RBI single in the 4th inning. Kennedy Fincham was 2 for 4 to lead Olympia. Thea Key, Sadie Walsh, Stoffel, and Reese Steiger had the only hits for the Lady Sages. Olympia is 25-7 overall. Monticello drops to 20-8. Mount Pulaski jumped out big early and never looked back as they routed Buffalo Tri-City 12-2 in a 5-inning run rule win on Monday in non-conference high school baseball action in Mount Pulaski. Tyler Cross drove in a team-best 3 runs. Luke Martin drove in a pair of runs with a double. Keone Charon had 2 RBIs and added a double for the Hilltoppers. Mount Pulaski overcame 7 errors in the win. Preston Cohen struck out 4 in 5 innings of 2-run ball. Both runs were unearned. Mount Pulaski is 16-8 overall. They travel to Havana on Wednesday. Chase Marsh's run-scoring base hit scored 2 runs, and Lincoln walked off Rantoul 3-2 in non-conference high school baseball action on Monday in Lincoln. March's single scored Gage Rutledge, and Tate Au ended up scoring on an error in the outfield. Carson Footen struck out 9 in a complete game effort. The senior allowed 2 runs. 1 was earned on 4 hits with just 1 walk. Carson Komnick, Austin Lucas, Samson Kirka, and Kane Komnick each had a pair of hits for the Rail Splitters, who honored Kirka, Komnick, Footen, and Lucas for Senior Day before the game. The Railers go to 17-8 overall. They visit Springfield Southeast on Tuesday. Kyle Glass drove in 5 runs, and Normal Community pounded out 12 hits and drew 12 walks as they made easy work of Peoria High School 22-0 in a 3-inning run rule win on Monday in Big 12 Conference high school baseball action in Normal in the opener of a doubleheader. Owen Knox drew a team-best 4 walks and drove in 2 runs. Chase Hendren and Nico Salvati drove in 3 runs for the Ironmen. Hendren struck out 9 in 3 perfect innings for Normal Community. In the second game, Carter Reiners drove in 4 runs as Normal Community followed up its opening win with a 17-0 shutout victory in the second game. Reiners doubled twice. Salvati added another double in the second game. Glass drove in 2 as well. Normal Community played its JV lineup on Monday. The Ironmen are 26-2 overall and 15-1 in Big 12 play. They take on Normal U High on Tuesday. A 4-run 4th inning allowed Effingham St. Anthony to get by Monticello 5-3 in non-conference high school baseball action on Monday in Monticello. After St. Anthony went ahead 4-1 in the 4th, Forrest Rodden blasted a 2-run shot that made it 4-3. Grant Kiger brought in a run to put the Sages in front 1-0 in the first. He later doubled. Dawson Gatros, Cole Basak, and Coy Williams had the only other hits for the Sages. Monticello falls to 26-3 overall. They host Clinton on Wednesday. Hear the action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. Normal West built an early lead, but Peoria Notre Dame rallied for an 8-5 win in Big 12 Conference high school baseball action on Monday in Peoria. The Wildcats went up 3-0 in the top of the second inning, but Peoria Notre Dame scored 8 of the game's final 10 runs to come away with the win. Mason Oslinger drove in 3 runs to lead the Wildcats. He was 2 for 4 with a triple. Sam McCulley drove in a run for Normal West. The Wildcats go to 17-11 overall and 9-5 in the Big 12. They visit Danville on Tuesday before returning home to host Peoria Notre Dame on Wednesday. In MLB scores from yesterday, the Cleveland Guardians beat the Los Angeles Angels 7-2, while the Baltimore Orioles took down the New York Yankees 3-2. The Tampa Bay Rays beat the Toronto Blue Jays 8-5, while the Arizona Diamondbacks shut out the Texas Rangers 1-0. The Seattle Mariners beat the Houston Astros 3-1, and the San Francisco Giants routed the LA Dodgers 9-3. In NBA postseason scores from yesterday, the 4th-seeded Cleveland Cavaliers beat the top-seeded Detroit Pistons 112-103, while the 1-seeded Oklahoma City Thunder took down the 4th-seeded LA Lakers 114-110. In NHL postseason scores from yesterday, the Colorado Avalanche beat the Minnesota Wild 5-2. Get highlights of your local high school program by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platforms, and get local sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Proven, powerful performance. When it comes to crop nutrition, you should always have a plan P. Unlock organic phosphorus already in your soil with Phosphorus Nutrient Enhancer from Koch Agronomic Services. This versatile and compatible liquid product boasts an active ingredient that accelerates mineralization, generating more reliable plant-available phosphorus. Make phosphorus part of your nutrient plan this season. Talk to your retailer for more information about phosphorus.
Spring into savings this May with a new Chevrolet. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Savings with a new car? Yes, with our fuel savings model like the Chevy Trax with 40 miles per gallon highway, the Chevrolet Trailblazer, and Chevrolet Equinox with 33 miles per gallon highway. And don't forget about our EV options, the Chevrolet Bolt and Equinox. Chevrolet, together let's drive. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Kuwait is accusing Iran of dispatching an armed Revolutionary Guard team to attack an island in the Mideast nation. Kuwait has come under repeated attack by Iran during the course of the war. President Trump is dismissing as garbage Iran's response to a U.S. peace proposal. It raises the specter of further American military strikes on Iran. Mr. Trump says America is doing a service to the entire world by denying Iran nuclear weapons. The president set to leave for Beijing today for talks with his Chinese counterpart. Mr. Trump will be accompanied to China by an entourage of American tech, industry, and finance leaders. On Wall Street this morning, ahead of the opening bell, stock futures are lower. The Dow futures down about 30 points. NASDAQ futures off 275 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven. You can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted. It works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
WHOW planting reports are brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick, AAK Mechanical, Peterson Insurance, Longview Bank, and State Bank of Beemont.
I'm Reed Camai. In this planting report, we hear from Clint Four, who farms in Shelby County near Shelbyville, and whom I spoke with on the 21st of April. You've been doing some of the planting for a while. How has that planting season gone for you so far?
Pretty smooth so far. We're roughly half done. Probably 2/3 done on beans and maybe a third done on corn. So, roughly half overall. So, had some pretty good days, nice weather, and not great weather for spraying, several of them, but at least the planting part of it went very smoothly.
Okay, so I'm glad it's been smooth when you've been able to get out there. In terms of the corn versus soybean mix, what's that like this year? Is it a change from last year?
No, I usually stay with around a 50-50 mix. I don't usually mix it up too much because of, prices, or so much can happen from the time you plant it until, harvest time. It's hard to outguess the market. So I've just over the years kind of stuck with a 50-50 rotation. Works best for my ground, and usually put most of my fertilizer and things on in the fall before. So it's, you're looking at almost a year for the next crop. So it's kind of hard to anticipate or make your decisions based on the market a year out. So I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I just have found that sticking with a good rotation has worked well for me.
All right, so 50-50 once again, and that's what I've heard largely elsewhere as well. So, once you get the seed in the ground, any potential challenges you foresee coming up?
Well, I mean, we've had a fair amount of rain the last couple of rain events. Hopefully the ground doesn't crust over and everything can get up. As warm as the temperatures are, I don't anticipate, any big problems, and they're calling for more showers again towards the end of this week.
Here's a question I thought of, especially for this year. You're outside a lot with the planting. You're in among the plants and the dust and all that. How difficult is it to stay healthy, unlike how I clearly sound right now?
I don't know that I've ever really noticed there's any. I mean, it's all I've ever known. So
yeah.
I guess I don't know an alternative, but I usually don't have any trouble. When we apply pesticides, I usually take all the proper precautions. But as far as just, being outside day to day, I don't really notice anything out of the ordinary.
That was Clint Four, who farms near Shelbyville, for this planting report.
Planting season means it's go time on the farm, and downtime is lost productivity and profit. AAK Mechanical in Clinton can provide you mobile welding on your farm or in the field to keep your equipment rolling, or you can take your parts to their welding shop just off Illinois Route 10 east of Clinton. Either way, AAK Mechanical will keep you going this spring. Put this number in your phone, 935-8501. That's 935-8501. AAK Mechanical, to get your parts welded and back in operation fast this planting season.
Tom Kenny here, your ag lender at State Bank of BMAT. It's the start of a new year, and while the fields might be quiet, we know your plans aren't. Whether you're lining up seed orders, upgrading equipment, or expanding your operation, we're here to help. At State Bank of BMAT, we built strong roots with our ag community. Whether you need an operating line or funds for expansion, we've got the tools to keep your business moving forward. Stop by or give us a call today. Bank where you belong at State Bank of BMAT. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The 2026 Chevy Silverado Heavy Duty is your official truck for your planting season. Scott Baum here from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton. The 26 Silverado is the strongest, most capable ever, with 2 heavy-duty powertrain options, innovative towing technologies, and a large and functional durabed. Silverado HD pulls up ready to get the seed, fuel, or tools you need on the field this spring to get things done on your farm. Baum Chevrolet Buick, right from the start.
Running a farm is challenging enough without the added stress of uncertain insurance coverage. That's where Peterson Insurance Services, in partnership with Indiana Farmers Insurance, can help. Jay Peterson here. We take the time to understand the specific needs of your farm, allowing us to tailor coverage that's just right for you. Stop by our office at 117 West Main Street in Clinton, or call 217-935-6605 for a quote. Your farm deserves more than just insurance. It deserves peace of mind.
Nate Sams here, Vice President at Longview Community Bank in Clinton. Everyone has something they do best. At Longview Community Bank, our roots run deep. We invest in our local communities, from first homes to small business dreams, acres of crops, or pastures of livestock to put food on our tables. We provide the loans that help our farmers, friends, and neighbors grow and thrive. Invest in your community bank with Longview. Click our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Remember FDIC.
WHOW planting reports are brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick, AAK Mechanical, Peterson Insurance, Longview Bank, and State Bank of Beemont.
You're listening to a best of segment of the WHOW Morning Show, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, this is a best of the WHOW Morning Show.
You're from the Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio on the phone there. Wow, I'll get there eventually, Dr. Widener. My guest on the Zoom today is Dr. Emily Widener, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools. Good to see you, Dr. Widener. How are you this morning?
I'm great, Seth. Thanks so much for having me.
Always good to have you on the program. We appreciate making time for us as always, particularly as we get to the end of the school year, Dr. Widener. There's so much going on. What's your calendar look like? It felt like everybody and their brother did prom last weekend. We've got end of school stuff coming up. What are some of the threshold dates in your district here in the next several weeks?
Yeah, it is definitely packed. We only have 12 days with our students left. So we are done on May 15th and the teachers are done on the 18th. So we are trying to pack in as much learning and as much fun as possible in these last 12 days. And in the last month, we've done a lot of really cool stuff. I'm really impressed by what our teachers put together to make the end of the school year still educational, but also really interactive and fun.
Mm-hmm.
Just to highlight a few of the things that are going on, our fifth graders made that trip to the Challenger Learning Center again. They go to Bloomington each year for that and do a space shuttle simulation, which with the Artemis launch recently is great timing. Our PTO is really awesome. They brought in the Star Lab for the elementary students also. So it's kind of an inflatable planetarium that the kids got to go sit in the auditorium and look at the stars. So that was really neat. We had our farm day on the 17th. So the high school kids in the ag program hosted the elementary kids out at the fairgrounds. That's also always a special one. This Friday is a huge day for us. We've got our fourth and fifth graders are going over to the Civic Center in Decatur for the Magic of Science event with Jason Latimer. Most of the schools in the Macon Piatt area are going to that. The ROE has coordinated that. It's going to be a really cool event, and they have a free event for families on Saturday with that as well. But we also have our junior high kids are going to a Cubs game tomorrow. That's their special trip. So they'll go up tomorrow and see the Cubs play the Diamondbacks. The high school students will stay here for Aloha Day, where they play a lot of games and do fun activities. And then we do have our prom this weekend. Next weekend, we get into National Honor Society, Honors Night with all the scholarships, our athletic banquet. We've got one more concert. It's just, there are multiple things every night, and trips and activities every day. So the end of the school year is a lot of fun.
It's always a race to the finish, isn't it? You know, just trying to get everything in. And of course, you're trying to take advantage of the nice weather for the field trips and the outdoor activities and all those things. Dr. Emily Widener, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools, our guest on the Zoom here for this morning. Did you say last day of school there, Dr. Widener, for Cerro Gordo?
Yes. Friday, May 15th, coming right up.
Man, you guys get it done early. You really do.
Yeah.
Good for you all. That's great. Seniors or like all students?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yep.
Everybody. Golly, I think we're going to June this year in Clinton. So,
Really? Yeah.
Man, envious of you all. Really are.
Yeah.
But I don't know
We
why.
do
I don't
start
know why
pretty
I'm envious. I don't get a summer. What am I talking about?
We do start pretty early in August, and we take fewer breaks throughout the year. So everybody goes to school the same number of days.
Gotcha. Very good. Well, I'll tell you what, Dr. Widener, I know one thing, and if I'm not mistaken, I think you might have mentioned this to me a visit or two ago, but a nonprofit forming in Piatt County. Yourself and several female leaders in Piatt County starting up a nonprofit. Tell me about this. What's going on here?
Yes, I would love to talk about this. This is Piatt County Women's Giving Circle. And it is kind of jump-started by the Heart of Illinois Community Foundation. And it is based on similar groups in Macon and Moultrie County. And the Piatt County version is called Rooted and Rising, and it's rooted in generosity and rising in impact. So essentially, it's a group of women in Piatt County who are agreeing to pool their resources to help out the communities in our county. All you have to do to be a member is make a donation. And then once we know our membership and our amount of money that we've raised through those donations, then we open up grants for local nonprofits. That could be schools, that could be civic organizations, it could be a food pantry, any variety of things within Piatt County. And then we have a social event where the members get to vote on the grants for those nonprofits. So the donation amount is also based on your age. And one of the things that I think is really cool about this specific group is that we've opened it up all the way down to 16-year-olds. So if you're 16 to 25, you pay $50 a year. 26 to 40, you pay $250 a year, and so on up to you could do a lifetime for $5,000. So there are different levels based on your age. You could pay in 2 installments, and it's a way to be able to give back without necessarily having to give a lot of time. You can go to the social events and vote, or you don't have to. So it is something that I'm really excited about. I'm excited to recruit people to join this, to teach my own daughters and my students about volunteerism and helping your community and philanthropy. We do have a kickoff event for it. It's Friday, May 8th, and it's at KB Community Cafe in Monticello. It's in conjunction with the Whites of Spring event there. And it's just a chance for women who are interested in joining to come, and they can either sign up or they can just talk to people who are in the founding members or the steering committee and learn more about it. So
sure.
I will be there that night. I'm very excited to get started, and I hope that we can get a lot of people in Piatt County, and specifically Sarah Gordo, to get involved.
Give me the backstory on this. How did this all come together?
So the Heart of Illinois Community Foundation does amazing things throughout Macon and Piatt counties. So they are a charity organization that basically manages donations and grants. Last year, they gave a grant to our school district for a kiln and also the installation of the kiln. So about $15,000 to get our art students able to do ceramics and pottery. But they do literally millions of dollars of charity work. And they've established this group in Macon County and Moultrie County. So they had the blueprint for us. They're heavily involved in this. And it was just kind of like, here's a great idea. How does it look in Piatt County? So there's a group of women who got together to form the steering committee. And that's where the bulk of the work happens. It's ideally for women to join this. They don't have to do a lot. They just make that donation, and then they get to vote in ways that they think would help communities in Piatt County.
So does the money funnel through that foundation, or does it come to you all and then you obviously distribute it? How does that work?
Great question. Yes, Heart of Illinois Community Foundation does handle the money. They've also made a donation that will allow us to give a grant on our very first night. So May 8th, we'll be able to give a grant that night to kind of kick things off.
Are you at liberty to tell us about that grant?
Not yet. It's a surprise,
right.
But it will be announced May 8th at 7 p.m. at KB Cafe.
So who are some of the other women leaders in Piatt County that are stepping up with you in this effort?
Sure. Mary Boat, Chelsea Thomas, Connie Geyer, Andy Owens, Heidi Apperson, Kristen Wright, and Natalie Beck are the members of the steering committee. There's also a larger group of founding members. I can't recite them off the top of my head, but we had several meetings in the fall and spring leading up to kind of going live next Friday.
How do you envision this playing out? Again, Dr. Emily Widener, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools, our guest on the Zoom here for this morning. How do you envision this playing out? Is it like a quarterly grant cycle? Is it just come to us as you need things? And again, how do you envision this impacting the community? Where do you envision this impacting the community?
Well, I think right now we're still trying to figure out how often we'll do events. The plan is to close the membership at the end of June 30th. So that way we know how much money we've raised, and then we can open up a grant cycle in the fall and then have some kind of social event in the fall, probably in October, to give out those first rounds of grants. And then a lot of how often we do things will determine how many members we get, how much money we're raising, but we'll also be putting some of that money to the side to let it grow so we can kind of increase that impact. So part of what we raise will be immediately dispersed, part of it will be allowed to grow. And then, it just depends on how many members we get and how much money we raise, what we can do.
Sure.
But I think working with the Heart of Illinois Community Foundation, I've really discovered some of the nonprofit groups in Piatt County and all the things they do. And there is a need for these groups to have help. So I hope that we become a source of, a resource that they can rely on.
Totally. Yeah. Very good. That's really cool. That's really neat.
Yeah.
You mentioned membership is open until, did you say the end of June? I heard June in there.
Yes.
And
June 30th.
Okay. How does one become a member? And again, the structure for dues and those sorts of things, remind us of that, Dr. Widener, and how they get information.
That's a great question. They get on the Heart of Illinois Community Foundation website, and you can see Giving Circles as an option on their main page and Rooted and Rising as an option there. So you can actually join right now. You can sign up and make your donation. I think one of the really cool features is that you can make a donation in honor of someone or in memory of someone. My donation was in honor of my husband's grandmother, Pete Foster. So I think that's a really neat thing. And also, you could donate in honor of someone else joining. So if you wanted to give that to your wife or your mother for Mother's Day, or if a business wanted to sponsor one of their female employees to join, I think that would be a great thing too.
Sure. Very good. Very good. Anything else on that, Dr. Widener, we did not get to that you want to put out there for us?
I encourage everybody to come out to KB on the 8th. I think it's a great opportunity for women of all ages. I'm hoping to have 3 generations of my family there representing, and I'm excited to teach the younger generation about, helping out in your community and being a volunteer and doing the right thing.
Sure. Very good. Very good. Well, on that note, Dr. Widener, let's take a break, come back with some more talk some more all things Cerro Gordo Schools. Dr. Emily Widener, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools, my guest on the Zoom here for this morning. More to come with her on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW. Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Tuesday. I'm Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network. We opened the day higher with corn, beans, and Chicago wheat. July corn, 479.5, up 4 1/4. September corn up 485 3/4, and December new crop 501.5, up 3 3/4. July beans starting the day 1219 3/4, up 6 3/4. August beans up 6.5, 1214.5. And November new crop 1199.5, up 4 3/4. July Chicago wheat 647 3/4, up 13 3/4. September KC wheat is up 17.5, 714 3/4. July bean meal 326.30, up $1.50. July bean oil up $1.74.74. Energy market, July Brent crude oil up 347, 107.68.
Spring into savings this May with a new Chevrolet. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Savings with a new car? Yes, with our fuel savings model like the Chevy Trax with 40 miles per gallon highway, the Chevrolet Trailblazer, and Chevrolet Equinox with 33 miles per gallon highway. And don't forget about our EV options, the Chevrolet Bolt and Equinox. Chevrolet, together let's drive. bombchevybuick.com, right from the start.
Hey, it's Shane from Highway 51 Exchange, your mower and equipment service pros just south of Clinton. Click our banner ad on DeWittDailyNews.com or give us a call to schedule your free pickup and delivery today. Highway 51 Exchange.
Longview Community Bank is now open in Clinton, investing in rural Illinois. I'm Vice President Nate Sams. Stop by for a visit or to find out how we provide real local banking. Click our banner ad at the top of the local news page on DeWittDailyNews.com.
You're listening to a best of segment of the WHOW Morning Show, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, this is a best of the WHOW Morning Show.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today, Mr. Drew Goebel. He's the superintendent of Clinton Schools. We follow up the Tuesday night Clinton Board of Education meeting, and not so much following up the meeting on Tuesday, Mr. Goebel, but a conversation that is starting to be had with your peers on our show is and I think this will become a larger conversation as we get into next year and start to maybe evaluate curriculum and those sorts of things, is the necessity of technology in the classroom. You know, schools have really leaned into iPads, Chromebooks, the Windows laptops. The districts have really leaned into all this technology. At the same time, studies are coming out about, you know, kids and their screen time and, you know, all these things. And it's now leading to a conversation of, is adding another hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, kids are in front of a device in the classroom, is that necessary given their exposure to devices at home? How do you feel about this? What do you have to say?
I'm glad you asked this question. So at Tuesday's board meeting, and this is kind of what started it. Our school has iPads, so we use an iPad lease, and so we had to transfer money to essentially pay for the iPads, and we do this every year. So that's boring stuff to talk about, but it did start the conversation about iPads and technology, and to your point, the amount of time kids are on devices. And I would say this. I am pro technology. I think to say that we need to get technology out of the classrooms, there's no way. That's never going to happen. But I think with everything in life, you need balance. You know, if you only eat junk food, that's not good. But if you never, you know, you need to have a balanced diet. And I think, you know, just like in the classroom, like I think if you are only on devices and kids aren't having the opportunity to have conversations and talk and collaborate with each other and put the devices away, I think you're really doing a disservice. I think kids need to learn how to communicate and talk to one another. And if they can't do that, kids need to be able to know how to stand up in front of a class and present and speak, because everyone's not good at that. I honestly don't. That's something that I don't love doing. I don't like getting in front of big, huge crowds and talking. It's just not one of the things that I like to do, but I have to do it. And it's just kind of one of those like things that you have to learn. So if you're not good at, say, public speaking, you're never going to get better unless you do it. And unless we provide opportunities for students to do those things. Now, some kids are going to flourish with technology and they're going to be really good with it, but other kids aren't. I think in the world right now with AI is another an example of an amazing tool. Like cell phones and iPads and all that, they're great. You know, all the technology that, you know, right now, if there's a meeting in Chicago and I don't have to go to Chicago anymore. I can do a Zoom or a Google Meet, whatever you want to call it, and I can have a meeting and I can see the person on the screen. I kind of think like Back to the Future, you know, when you're talking, you know, and it works. And I think doing a virtual meeting is better than just a phone call. But I think face to face, when you can actually meet them, is probably better. But you can't always do that. You can't always do that. That doesn't always work out. So I think there's good and bad. Same thing with the internet. There's a lot of great things. If I'm driving somewhere and I don't know how to get there, by golly, I'm glad I have my cell phone.
No question.
Because
Yeah.
I can plug in the address and it can tell me where to go, and it's great. But you know what? There's a lot of bad things on the internet. And, really, I think this is our school district does put filters and to protect kids on our devices. So, and gosh, the name of the service that we have has slipped my mind. But the school district has a service to protect our kids because there are dangerous things out there. But again, we can't control the kid's device. So if mom and dad aren't protecting their kids, if they're not monitoring and looking around and doing all those, that's dangerous. So you have to balance technology.
Is this something the district will start to look at, or is this something
we look at it now? We already are trying to make that balance. I don't want teachers to use technology, depending on what the class is. Like if you're teaching a technology class, that's a different story altogether. But it's kind of like, in the wood shop class, they should be using the machine, the
Right.
saws.
Right.
But I think teachers should be, I would say all teachers should be using technology at some degree, but how much are they using it? Something that the junior high does is as soon as the kids get to school, they put their cell phones in their locker. So they can't have them during the school day. Even if they get tempted to use it, they can't. It's in the locker. I think that's good. The high school, they can have them on it, but then they stick them on their little door caddies to, so they're in the classroom, but they don't have accessible to them. So we're trying to limit what that technology is. Because we provide them their iPad. The high school, we provide them the Surface Pro. So we give them what they need, so they don't need their personal cell phone. Again, it's all about balance. It's about how you use what you have. So
Yeah,
it's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, it sounds like this is something the district has already kind of considered and is working on. On that note, Mr. Goebel, I got to let you go. I can't believe next month we talk, we're going to be coming up on the end of the school year. It's right around the corner. Thanks for coming out this morning.
You bet. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Drew Goebel, Superintendent of Clinton Schools, my guest in the studio here for this morning, following up the Tuesday night Clinton Board of Education meeting. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. Network news on the way.
WHOW.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton, along with 92.3 FM Clinton and 106.5 FM Bloomington Normal.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Inflation, as measured by the Consumer Price Index, shot higher last month, hitting a 3-year high as consumer prices rose 3.8% year over year. Big contributor to the price spike, cost of energy. Accompanied by a bevy of American tech, industry, and financial leaders, President Trump is about to take off for Beijing and talks with his Chinese counterpart. Correspondent Eduardo Castillo says this will be Mr. Trump's second visit to China as president.
President Donald Trump travels to Beijing this week, marking the first visit to China by a U.S. president in nearly a decade, the last one by Trump. As Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping get ready to meet, both countries have said that the relationship has been relatively stable, and they want to keep it that way. But there are still some issues unresolved. For example, trade tensions persist, and although it's possible there's going to be an extended truce, some experts think that the broader conflict is far from over. Technology is another sticking point, with the U.S. limiting exports of advanced chips to China.
President Trump says his main objective in the standoff with Tehran remains the same: no nuclear weapon for Iran.
If the Obama deal wasn't terminated by me, they would have had it 6 years ago, and they would have used it immediately on Israel and also the rest of the Middle East. You saw that when they started shooting rockets. Nobody thought Saudi Arabia and Qatar and UAE were going to get hit, or Kuwait, Bahrain. I think it was a tremendous strategic mistake, and they wasted those missiles. We have the Patriots that knocked them down every time.
The U.S. Supreme Court has set the stage for Alabama to get rid of one of two largely black congressional districts before this year's midterm elections. On Wall Street, Dow futures are down 2 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Looking for a great real estate agent? Someone who can help you sell your home fast and for top dollar? Go to ready.com, REDY.com. Because on Ready, agents will pay you just for the opportunity to sell your home. Yeah, on Ready, agents will pay you for your listing. Thousands of dollars up front just for a chance to sell your home. And it's easy. Just go to ready.com, enter your address, and when you want to sell. In just 48 hours, the best local agents are competing on Ready to be your agent with cash offers up front just to win your business. Hey, your listing is valuable. Don't give it away. Make those agents earn it. Get paid to pick your real estate agent. Go to ready.com or call 800-885-REDY. 800-885-READY.
There's a new Trump nominee to lead the beleaguered TSA.
President Donald Trump has nominated David Cummins to head the Transportation Security Administration. If confirmed, Cummins, who worked as a senior vice president at government contractor Serco, would take over a TSA bruised by the longest partial government shutdown in history, during which employees went without paychecks. Thousands of TSA employees did not show up to work. Hundreds quit entirely, leaving travelers frustrated and politicians pointing fingers over who was to blame for shutting down the Department of Homeland Security. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer tells his cabinet he will not resign, despite growing calls from within his Labour Party. Starmer is trying to rally support after big losses in last week's local elections. Earlier today, a junior minister became the first to resign, urging Starmer to follow suit. News and analysis, townhall.com. The MD-11 cargo planes involved in last fall's deadly UPS crash in Louisville will be returning to the air.
The plane crashed shortly after takeoff after the left engine flew off the wing. 3 pilots were killed, along with 12 more people on the ground. The Federal Aviation Administration says it approved Boeing's proposed fix for the workhorse MD-11s after extensive review. Lawyers representing some of the families that lost loved ones say they hope the FAA was thorough enough to ensure the planes are safe. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The global maritime industry is facing a looming shortage of the fuel that powers ships as the Iran war chokes off a key shipping lane in the Strait of Hormuz. About 80% of globally traded goods are transported by sea. Experts say consumers and businesses should brace for price spikes to shipping costs and impacts to their bottom lines. More on these stories, townhall.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. Partly cloudy skies today with daytime highs approaching 81. Southwest winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Chance for storms tonight, lows around 52, partly cloudy skies. Ample sunshine expected tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 68. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Right now, it's 60 degrees.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
SIU Center for Family Medicine is here to help with back to school and sports physicals. Healthy kids learn better and play harder. Call 217-735-2317 today to schedule your appointment. That's 217-735-2317. SIU Medicine, forward for you.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police splatter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Spring into savings this May with a new Chevrolet. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Savings with a new car? Yes, with our fuel savings model like the Chevy Trax with 40 miles per gallon highway, the Chevrolet Trailblazer, and Chevrolet Equinox with 33 miles per gallon highway. And don't forget about our EV options, the Chevrolet Bolt and Equinox. Chevrolet, together let's drive. BombChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
This is Seth Lawrence, station manager for the Heart Media Group here in Clinton. We take pride in being Clinton and Central Illinois' local radio stations each and every day, 7 days a week. What does local news mean? Here's a sample.
Even if we say no, we're not interested, any landowner could come in and pay the fee to get a text amendment process started. So,
yeah, don't pick up injured animals or fawns that you think are abandoned by their mother. Just leave them alone.
I mean, we want to see Mr. Lincoln Square utilized, and that's one part of it. So we're starting now for next year as well.
You hear the local people that make the news every day, 7 days a week. Follow WHOW on Facebook and Instagram to see the faces behind the voices and stay connected to your local community on WHOW and WEZC. You're listening to a best of segment of the WHOW Morning Show, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, this is a best of the WHOW Morning Show.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today is Reagan Tibbs, commercial ag educator with U of I Extension in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties. Good to have you back, Reagan. How are you?
Good, Seth. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for asking. Thanks for making time for us as always. And I tell you what, the planting season is in full swing. I haven't seen a planting report in a while. How are things going? What are we seeing?
Yeah, USDA usually publishes those on Mondays. So the last report we had was from this past Monday, the 27th. For Illinois, it reported that we were at 29% of all of our corn acres were planted, and 36 of our soybean acres were planted across the state. Let's compare those to the 5-year averages. For corn, our 5-year average is 19%, so we're well ahead of our 5-year average for that. And with soybeans, our usual 5-year average is 18%, so we're almost double at our unusual planting, and that's because that we've gotten those beneficial rains. The temperatures have been really, really nice across all of April, and so yeah, a lot of those conditions have really helped us get the crops in the ground. And not only are we getting them planted, we're starting to see some emerged as well. In that same report, we had corn. 12% of our corn acres that have been planted are already emerged. Our 5-year average is 2%, and with soybeans, of those acres that have been planted, 15% were emerged, and our 5-year average was 2%. So again, not only are we getting the crop in the ground, we're also getting the crop starting to emerge and get a lot of those benefits from the temperature and rain.
I wonder if those numbers will start to change over the next 5 years, because we see, around 2020, early planting soybeans really became very popular. And I'm hearing from guys as we talk here this morning, guys were in the fields in late March. I started calling on guys in early April. Do you anticipate maybe that number increasing in terms of the soybean side of things?
So that 5-year number, I believe, accounts for 2021 through 2025, that 5-year average.
Sure.
So absolutely it's going to pick up on those things. I heard one producer say they had all their soybeans planted by April the 15th, which is really early for this area. And again, it's get them in the ground. And what happened right after that April 15th timeline? We've had those really beneficial rains that have come through. We've had really good temperatures that have helped that crop get the good start. So definitely, I think those 5-year averages will continue to shift, especially now if we're at 29% and 36% planted at this point of the year. Definitely, we're going to see a lot of improvement over the 5-year average.
You've talked about beneficial rains. We've also seen some real heavy rains in places. How much concern from your end of things on replants?
I definitely think that's going to be a concern. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they were asking how much. I think with some of our acres that have already started to emerge, there may not be as much pre-plant, but for those that were planted, especially after this last round of heavy rain we got last week, I definitely think that we could see some rain planting. I know there's still over by me in Logan County, and I saw it here on my way over this morning. A lot of standing water still in the field, and the ditches were still full. You can see a lot of washout areas. So those might be areas where we have to see a little bit of replanting this year. But thankfully, we're early enough in the growing season that decision is a little bit easier to make. And so, yeah, I definitely think replanting could have to be a factor.
What about guys just not replanting and taking the insurance money?
That could be. It just kind of depends on the financial position. What inputs have you already put into that crop, especially with fuel prices the way they are now, with fertilizer prices the way they are now. Those are very tricky financial situations to figure out. I think it's just kind of figuring out where the operation is at the moment, and then moving forward, does it make sense to either leave it bare, take that insurance money, or to go ahead and replant, or even maybe put something like a cover crop in there so it's not sitting barren for the rest of the year.
I know you're a data guy. What are you watching as it relates to the planting season? Anything specific?
Definitely one thing I'm very happy to see is for most of the parts of Central Illinois here, we are out of the drought, officially for the first time since last year, which was really awesome to see. There's still a little bit of a trouble area over by Champaign, that area. That's not really necessarily a drought, but just a little bit dry, which is nothing too unusual for this time of year and moving forward. So definitely now that we have all this moisture in the ground, let's keep it in the ground and let's get those crops to have a good start moving forward for the spring. That's one thing I'm really happy to see. Obviously I think we got 7 inches of rain in April, and our normal rainfall average is 4. So we definitely have a lot of moisture there that we can use moving forward in May, and hopefully we get those timely rains in May.
It's interesting that those April showers were very timely, obviously. But I did talk to a few guys about their tilling practices, and a lot of guys said they, just because of how dry it was, they decided to just pass on tilling and just do no-till planting this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you said, the dry conditions certainly part of that. Fuel prices, obviously, when the conflict started in Iran, I think then we've seen fuel prices continue to increase ever since then. Those decisions about, is it worth it to make that one extra tillage pass, or just, hey, we'll just do it at one time, go through with the planter, and there are benefits and drawbacks to no-till. Obviously, we could have some stand issues, some long-lasting disease issues with no-till, but definitely I think that economic kind of factor of it definitely drove a lot of producers this year.
Talk to me a little bit about those input prices and how much you think that will impact the growing season, the treatment of the crop this year. What do you think?
Well, I think I was talking to someone about this yesterday, and I think one of the things that we have to consider is right now for 2026, most producers have gotten their fertilizers and most of their other chemicals figured out what they're going to put on this year. Obviously, we can't account for diseases that are going to show up during the growing season, but for the most part, especially on the fertilizer side, most producers have gotten their things figured out and were ordered kind of last fall, right? What's going to be interesting to see is how long does this conflict in Iran continue on? And then how will that impact fertilizer prices for the next growing season? If the conflict in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz closures continue to linger on further here in 2026, I would expect the fertilizer prices for next year are going to continue to still remain higher. Now, of course, there's a lot of things that can change between now and even 10 minutes after we get done with our conversation here, but it's those long-term impacts that this year, yes, we're going to see an impact, obviously, with fuel, and if we have to, spot buy fertilizer on the, at this moment, but it's those long-term impacts, especially if we continue to see the Strait of Hormuz being closed.
Totally. When this is kind of just a question out of my own curiosity, when do producers kind of start to make those decisions for fertilizer and such for the next year?
Usually kind of about harvest time is when a lot of those sales folks will start getting out there and talking to the producers, seeing, okay, what was good this year? What did we lack on? Is there anything we need to change? If there are new products coming out, and then kind of starting in the fall is when those decisions will be made about purchasing, when are we going to need it? And so that we can apply in the fall or even in the spring.
That makes sense. Yeah, sure. When it comes to the planting season, one thing that you noted there in your report was the early plant corn. I mean, corn is going in the ground very early this year. How much do you think like cold nights like we're experiencing right now will impact that crop, especially the emerge crop?
It certainly can. Obviously, we're not quite out of that last frost date. I think that range is kind of May 1st to May 10th for this part of the state, last I checked. So we're not quite out of the woods yet. So if we get a really hard frost or even a freeze over the next couple of weeks, it can really damage those those crops. But if the crop is in the ground, then they'll generally still be protected. The ground kind of acts as like a blanket, if you will, especially if it's sunny during the day, helps warm up the soil and kind of will keep that soil or keep that seeds kind of warm enough to where it isn't damaged as much. But it definitely could still be an impact for those early emerge crops.
What do you know about if you're getting that corn crop in the ground, particularly guys that have it maybe wrapped up by this May 1 date? How does that impact yields, or does it?
I'm not sure. I'm sure there's plenty of studies on there, but definitely it's one to keep an eye on. It and depends, if all the entire field exhibits frost damage, how will that impact growth moving forward for the rest of the year? There's definitely a lot of research out there on that. I just can't recall it.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah, for sure. Reagan Tibbs is the commercial ag educator, U of I Extension in Logan Menard and Sangamon counties. And of course, with that, Reagan, that the planting season kind of comes on the heels now of a new farm bill that's in place. What do we know about the new farm bill?
Yeah, so yesterday, what do most people my age do? They pay attention to sports, everything. I pay attention to congressional debates during my day. So yesterday, the House Representatives passed the skinny farm bills, it's being called, which includes, I think you and I have talked about before, a lot of the provisions that were not in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which was passed last summer. So they went through the whole debate process. They actually started on Wednesday evening, like super, super late. I think they got done like 2 or 3 in the morning out there. That's really hard for the people in Congress to work on sometimes. And so yesterday's, they went through a lot of amendments. Some of the amendments included renewable fuel standards, pesticide labeling and lawsuits, rotisserie chickens. Can you purchase a rotisserie chicken on SNAP, which has been a pretty interesting debate to listen to. So that bill passed yesterday. I believe the vote was it was a close-ish vote, but it got enough votes to pass through. There was some bipartisan support there for it and some bipartisan opposition, most notably. So now is the Senate. The Senate has seemed that they're going to begin the process here soon. Obviously, there's a lot of other things still in the Senate that they have to work on. So it'll probably take some time for them to consider it, and they're likely going to have their own changes they're going to want to make. For example, if there was an amendment in the House that didn't get on, and the member of the House really wants it in there, they're going to try to work their connections in the Senate, try to get it in the Senate version of the bill. And so likely we'll see some changes in the Senate. And then when that happens, they'll have to go back to the House and see if the House approves it. So it's still going to take some time for it to get approved. But hopefully now that it's passed through the House, it's cleared one major hurdle. It's got a couple more to go still.
Talk to me a little bit about what are some of the sticking points in the farm bill for local producers, Central Illinois producers?
I think one of the big topics is E15, year-round E15. That's one we hear seemingly every year or every time the farm bill comes up, or even most times, is just, can year-round E15 get approved? I know a lot of commodity groups and farm bureaus and others, have positions on that. That seems to be a sticking point with some. The pesticide labeling and lawsuits was a topic this year that got a lot of attention and got a lot of publicity when that amendment came up. So I think those types of things that, on a broad spectrum, you might think, oh, well, those decisions made in Washington, they may not necessarily affect me. But as a producer, you do have to be mindful, especially if it changes program requirements or enacts new rules or regulations that we have to follow as local producers.
Sure. Anything you were following out of the farm bill, or anything that was of note to you, and maybe long-term impacts on ag, things like that?
Definitely, I think we need to get the renewal for things like CRP done. That's in this bill, to renew it back to the normal 5-year cycle like we've normally seen. And other sort of those conservation type programs, EQIP, adding things to promote precision agriculture use for some of those conservation programs. I think it's something that, as precision ag technology become more and more prevalent and more widely used across agriculture, having those in there really been impactful. And then also expanding support for specialty crop growers through our commodity programs. Those seem to get put on the back burner when we talk about commodity programs. And so if we can add in support some of those specialty growers across the country and here in Illinois, I think that'd be really impactful as well.
You said it was called the Farm Bill Light?
Skinny Farm Bill.
Skinny Farm Bill, I'm sorry.
Farm Bill Light, Skinny Farm Bill, same kind of idea. It doesn't include every single provision that we would normally find in a farm bill, just those ones that were not in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that was passed last summer.
So what were the highlights of ag in the One Big Beautiful Bill for producers?
The changes to the commodity commodity support programs. So those mostly being ARC and PLC. It changed the effective reference prices for those, which had been pretty stable since the 2014 and 2018 farm bills. But again, were adjusted and increased for most of our covered commodities. There are some other changes relating to some other programs. It changed a lot of how the funding was allocated for conservation programs. If we go all the way back to the it was 2021, I believe, with the Inflation Reduction Act, whenever
Mhm.
that was passed, that allocated a lot of money to the Commodity Credit Corporation for conservation programs. What the One
Mhm.
Big Beautiful Bill did was it took that money that was in the Commodity Credit Corporation and reallocated it back out to some of those conservation programs,
Mhm.
but then also used to support some of those increases in commodity prices.
Got it. So what is next for the farm bill? I mean, do we still need to work on a full farm bill, or like, what happens?
So once this is passed, then we'll have to wait until for another 5 years. So we'll probably have to wait until
We have a new president. Yeah.
2030, more than likely 2031, and then hopefully we'll get on a single schedule now where we have one single farm bill rather than two farm bills that are passed. So hopefully we can get back to that traditional 5-year cycle. As it says, it has to be in a 5-year cycle. That's just the way it's normally always been through Congress, except for this recent year.
So do we need to merge what's in the big beautiful bill with with a normal farm bill then? Is that what we'll have to do?
Well, so what you take those ag provisions that were in the One Big Beautiful Bill and you combine them with what's here in this farm bill that was passed yesterday through the House to make the true original kind of farm bill structure.
When do you think the Senate will take this up and pass it?
I really don't know. There's a lot of things that are still floating around in the Senate, and they've got a lot of things on their plate. And Congress more broadly has a lot of things they got to figure out because they're going to have to go on break here sometime this summer because midterms are this November, so they're still in that campaign mindset. So I think that's going to be top of everybody's mind, trying to pass those things that look good for their campaign promotions and they can go out and campaign on. So I don't know when we'll see this get up, and it's up to the will of the Senate.
How much do you think the midterms will change maybe the outlook in the Senate if they don't get to it until after the midterms?
I think this could definitely be something we see after the midterms. To say it's going to be done before the midterms right now, I think there are just too many other things going on in the Senate that would prevent it from getting to this. That I think they're going to try to focus on some of those, like I said, key priority issues that are going to look good when it comes time to campaign for the midterms.
Very good. Well, on that note, Reagan, let's break. Come back with some more. Reagan Tibbs, commercial ag educator, U of I Extension in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties. More to come with Reagan on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
Severe weather warning. Heavy rains are approaching. Let's get an update from our field reporter in Wheatville. Gary, how you doing out there?
Actually, pretty great. Storms rolling in, but these wheat fields are protected with Spharex fungicide, so not much to report on out here. Back to you, Ted.
I guess you can forget the forecast with Spharex fungicide from BASF. Let's go to commercial.
Talk to your retailer about Spharex fungicide. It gives you powerful protection against FHB and Don vomitoxin, helping to defend your crop and profit potential. Always read and follow label directions.
WHOW is Central Illinois' ag station, and that includes providing farmers information on how the commodity markets close each day and week. I'm Todd Gleason from Illinois Public Media, University of Illinois Extension, inviting you to hear the daily closing market report weekday afternoons at 5:06, and on Saturdays, tune in for Commodity Week with a review of the week's markets at 8:30 in the morning, all on WHOW AM, FM, and streamed online.
Paul Scourin here, CEO of Warner Hospital. Spring allergies acting up? At Warner Hospital and Health Services, we offer fast treatment to help you breathe easier and feel better fast. Quality care right here, right now. Click on our icon on DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
You're listening to a best of segment of the WHOW Morning Show, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, this is a best of the WHOW Morning Show.
Defending Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Reagan Tibbs, commercial ag educator, U of I Extension, Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties. Reagan, you're leading some research over in Hartsburg. What's going on?
Yeah, so Extension has a plot up at Hartsburg, that's 17 acres. It was donated to Extension shortly after we were founded in Logan County. And the purpose of it is to do research demonstration. The idea is that we can get research, out of the university and out of their research plots and put it in local areas where local producers and local people can see the research that we're doing, and they can have a direct impact and benefit for their operations. So this year we're excited to do a soybean seeding rate trial. So we're going to have one control rate of 120,000 seeds an acre. We're going to do that across the sidelands and headlands of the field. And then in the rest of the field, we're going to try out different seeding rates. Using that 120,000, then we're going to go down to 80,000, 100,000, then go up to 140,000 and 160,000 seeds per acre, just to see what happens. What do we see in terms of yield differences? What do we see with weed suppression and weed pressures? What do we see in terms of nutrient uptake? Those types of things, to see if there is kind of a more optimal rates, or what you could expect if you planted those different types of seeding levels.
Will this be more than a one-time trial?
We'll do soybeans this year, and then we might, when it comes time to do soybeans again, we might do it again just to see and get another year of data off it. The nice thing about this experiment that we've designed is that it's a checkerboard design. So the software I used to help design it, it has 7 replications of each of those different seeding rates. So that way we have that enough variability within the field, and they're kind of randomly placed across the field, so we can get different aspects and different, if one part of the field has different levels of phosphorus or nitrogen or a different pH level, then we can compare that to other parts of the field that have that same seeding rate. So we'll certainly try it moving forward and see what kind of data we get out of it.
Any funding that comes along with this or anything of that nature?